Hello guys, welcome to another Garden Warfare 2 video, and today I'm going to be playing the Gullstar, who is my favorite All-Star, but overall I'm not the biggest fan of All-Stars. Not really a fan of their close range play style, and really their primary weapon ain't the best, in my opinion, at least compared to foot soldiers, but they do have great abilities. Like, the imp is probably one of the best abilities in the game, and probably one of the worst abilities in the game if you happen to be on the receiving end of it. And Sprint Tackle's pretty good as well. 75 damage. And cooldown 30 seconds. Plus you can use it to get away from chompers who might be burrowing. And your shield's good for blocking chuck shots. Well, pretty good abilities. Not the best primary weapon though. I see some people like using the Ultra Tackle instead of the Sprint Tackle, but personally, I think the better cooldown of the Sprint Tackle is worth giving up 15 damage. I don't think 15 damage is worth for like a 15-second longer cooldown. But I guess the Ultra Tackle is better if you're one of those all-star players who does the standard all-star combo of Sprint Tackle, well, or Ultra Tackle in that case, Imp Hunt, Shield, Die, Repeat. And that's the combo. Sprint Tackle, Imp Hunt, maybe put up a shield, but you might not, and then die. That's what I see some all players do. They spam all their abilities, then they die, and then they repeat. Yeah. All-Star is one of those classes that you see a lot of ability spam. Kind of like pea shooters with the beam bombs. Or corns with pretty much all their abilities. I generally don't spam my abilities with All-Star. Well, I guess the Imp Hunt, but the Imp Hunt's amazing. If you're not spamming the Imp Hunt when you can, kind of playing them wrong. It's such a good ability. 150 damage pretty much every 20 seconds. Is amazing. Sprint Tackle, usually only use it when there's like two players I can hit, or this is or just can Sprint Tackle. Usually I like to keep it reserved for when I need to get away from like a chomper. But you can always just Imp Hunt a chomper who's burrowing. Like, if a chomper's burrowing into you and there's a piece of cover nearby, you can just let them get close to you, then Imp Hunt the wall, and then when they're burrowing you, the Imp Hunt will explode and kill the chomper. But I wouldn't recommend using this if you have your Sprint Tackle off cooldown, because it could not work and go horribly wrong, and Sprint Tackle is much more reliable in getting away from chompers. And plus, the Imp Hunt only does 150 damage, and most chompers have 175. But there are those that don't, like the Vampire Chomper and the most popular chomper, Hot Rod Chomper. So that helps make that attack more effective, being the most common chomper has the least HP. And speaking about chompers, another reason I don't really like the All-Stars, because I feel that they're probably one of the most vulnerable classes to chompers. Like, their ways of dealing with chompers are just less effective than other classes. Engineers, they got the stun that really wrecks chompers. Foot soldiers can just camp rough. Scientists can warp away 2 times. And the All-Stars fast move melee Sprint Tackle you can only use once. What other classes are there? Super Brains can just jump on a high place pretty easily. Imps are also kind of vulnerable. They don't really have a way, but they do have their double jump, which is helpful. All-Star's kind of weak against chompers. And I really hate chompers. Like, I hate suicide chompers. Every time there's a suicide chomper, especially when there's multiple chomper, I just hate that. I cannot stand them. There's nothing more infuriating than one chomper that just goes and eats you when they're like 3 people right next to you. Like, that is so stupid. And they can go 1-for-1 with literally no skill whatsoever. And Chompers being invincible when they burrow someone is the most retarded thing ever. Just infuriating. Oh, and you saw I failed to do the combo of sprint tackle, impunt, and then die. My impunt was on cooldown, so combo didn't work. I failed at the All-Stars one job. Spam all of his abilities and die. It's terrible. And when I was playing this game, I saw my impunt damage didn't register. I was like, how does the corn survive a 150 damage impact? But when I was rewatching this, I realized that he probably had the HP upgrade that lets him survive an impunt, considering that he just died to like one shot later that Camera Ranger did. Like, he must have had the HP upgrade and just died. It's nice to survive an impunt, but probably not the most effective, because you're just going to get shot. But I do like the HP upgrade, but on 200 HP characters, I'd rather put the faster regen health, because 10 health on a 200 HP character, not that much. I find myself regenerating a lot more than 10 health would help me, so having the faster regen speed over the 10 HP is well worth it. Some All-Star players like to put the overheat penalty, like it lowers your penalty when you overheat. I don't agree with that at all. You could put pretty much anything else except the zoom upgrade and it'll be better. When you learn how to tap fire, like right there you see me overheat, but I think that's the only time I overheat in this whole game. And if you tap fire, just press the trigger for a little bit and then stop a little bit when you think you're going to overheat. It'll let you shoot for longer and you won't overheat much. Like, I'd say you just overheat like once, and like this is a 14-minute game and I overheated once. And it really didn't. And the slightly longer time I had to wait to fire again really didn't hurt me at all. So basically I'm just wasting an upgrade slot by putting on the overheat upgrade penalty. Just not worth it. Disgusting Chomper. Lucky Chompers. I hated making up the Chompers, but over the weekend I tried to finally finish the grind of my Chompers I had to do, and I mastered every last one of them. So over the weekend I finally got to max rank in this game. It took me forever. It took me 730 hours to do it, but I'm glad I finally did that. Feels nice to be one of the few players in this game who reach max rank. Like, I could have gotten to max rank faster if I wanted to, but playing Chompers and a lot of characters I didn't like put me off. So basically, the rank up characters I didn't like, I just played a lot of Garden, Razor Up, and just played against some AI to farm some easy XP. Took forever, but feels good. Well, really happy, and I got to max rank. Like, I still remember the first character I ever mastered, the Hockey Star. Good old Hockey Star. And it seems fitting that one of the worst characters in the game that I mastered was the Bloody Armor Chomper. What an awful character. PopCap, poor PopCap, not poor PopCap, bad PopCap, for nerfing Armor Chomper to death. He was never OP, but they nerfed him 2 times. They nerfed his damage and his bite rate of fire and his health. He was not OP, he's so freaking slow. There's no reason to nerf him, yet they nerfed him 3 times in 2 patches. Like, why? I don't think anyone was like, oh my god, it's an armored chomper. Oh, that guy, that's OP. He needs a nerf. Just shaking my head at how dumb that was. Oh, and nice thing about All-Stars is that even though Citrons are pretty overpowered, All-Stars don't really have much to fear from a Citron, at least in a close range fight. Like, All-Stars have everything they need to deal with Citrons. They got their shields to counter their EM Peach. They got their tackles and imp punch to deal with their shield and high health. Citrons really don't have much. But a smart Citron player would realize that and not fight an All-Star at close range. But if you're fighting against a Citron player who doesn't realize that, All-Stars wreck Citrons. Like, most characters have a hard time fighting Citron 1v1, but All-Stars have no trouble with that. Oh my god. Poor guy just got Suicide Chomper. But luckily, my Impunt disposed of him accordingly. Oh, this, I got no one to blame for this death but myself. That was just poor play. Like, I dealt with his Burrow and Goop, but I overturned and basically presented my backside to him, so that was just dumb play. As you can see, I was a little annoyed by those tackle shields. Like, that All-Star who placed those tackle shields there. There was literally no point of putting tackle shields there. You're just hurting your team by making your team walk around them. It doesn't need to be tackle shields there. Like, I don't know who the All-Star was that did that, but don't put tackle shields there. There's no point of that nonsense. And again, there are people just reviving their teammates in the front of an open area. There's no need for that. Only if you're like a healer, you should try to revive people. Or like, if a Rolls dies or an engineer dies in your teleporter, then you should revive them. But generally, besides that, there's really not much point of reviving players if you're not a healer. I will never understand that mentality. Unless you gotta revive everyone. Like, I know I've said that before in a video, but it's just so weird how white players do that. Didn't really put my shield out there to deal with the Peach, but it's a party Citron. Party Citrons aren't that threatening. Yeah, a Chomper again. But really, party characters in general aren't very threatening. They're just really weak variants. Like, just use the default one, they're better. Like, I think Party Citron is the best one, but he's still not very good, at least compared to default Citron. I don't know why PopCap thought party characters were a good idea. Like, legendary characters like Toxic, Iron Citron, they're not bad ideas. Like, I like those characters, but just the party characters, just weaker versions of the other ones. I really think the party characters could use a buff, especially Party Brains. He could use a definite buff. Party Brains sucks. But he's somehow not the worst Super Brains, because they added Breakfast Brains. So, that's basically the end of the video, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.